Hello, and welcome back to the Misty Morrison podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 24 of Was I in the Wrong? Before we get into stories, just our housekeeping for the day. Please remember to engage with the content. If you are listening on podcast, please leave a 5-star review to help the channel grow. Share it with a friend. If you are on YouTube, please comment, like, subscribe for more, and share it with a friend. And if you are engaging on socials, comment with your thoughts on the stories. Thanks for being here. Let's get on into it. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/AITAH. AITAH for cutting my sister out after her friend essayed my wife. Trigger warning for sexual assault. My sister went out on a trip with her friend and she asked my wife and me to join them. I couldn't because of work, but I asked my wife to join my sister. I basically forced my wife to join my sister and enjoy vacation, but I didn't know it would result in my wife being essayed. My wife came back from the trip. It was so sudden because she came back alone without informing me or my sister or their friends. My wife didn't say anything and went to our bedroom and washed herself, and no matter how much I tried to ask her, she wouldn't reply to me. When I kept asking her, she told me that my sister's friend grabbed her and kissed her and she ran away and got back home. I said that she should have called me right away and we will file, but my wife started crying and she was angry. She slapped me so damn hard and she said that I wasn't near her when she needed my help and she doesn't want the word to get out and I'm to keep it to ourselves. When I expressed my anger and how we should proceed legally, my wife said that she doesn't want to and she wants to let it go and she cares about her and her parents' reputation. My wife is angry and she blames me for not taking care of her, and she ends up taking her frustration on me. And I'm trying my best to help, but I feel like a weak husband for not being near my wife when she needed me. Even when my wife asked me not to talk about this with anyone else and keep it to myself, and she wants to deal with this herself and wants my support, I ended up talking about it with my sister and told my sister everything my wife went through. My sister doubled down, and she said her friends can't essay other women, especially her sister-in-law. I ended up cutting my sister out of my effing life permanently, and there's no way I can mend my relationship with her. I know my wife would never lie about this, and my sister refuses to acknowledge that her friend may probably have assaulted my wife. I've decided to remove my sister out of my life without informing my wife or parents, but my sister tries to talk to me and try to explain herself, but for me, her explanations felt like excuses. Are you the asshole? That was a heavy one to start off with. Surely it's got to be uphill from here, but no, you're not the asshole. You always have the right to cut whoever you need to out of your life. I think you made the right decision. Like, you believe your wife, so you told your sister who was there on the trip what happened, and she said no, they couldn't possibly do that. So she's saying that she believes her friends over your wife, and you're saying that you believe your wife over her and her friends. And that's just an impasse. You can't... She's not budging, you're not budging, and you're not willing to tolerate someone in your life who would dismiss something so traumatic for your wife that has really put a strain not only on her, but on your relationship as well. So I think what you did is the right thing to do. I just don't know how you're going to explain it to your parents when they ask why you're not talking to your sister anymore. If you're going to honor your wife's wishes of not telling anybody what happened. Which, I mean, the sister might anyway. Like, you can say, I cut her out of my life because of something that happened on vacation. I either don't agree with her or I feel like she lied about it. And I don't want to go into any details. But I feel like if you give even that much, it's open for anybody to ask her what happened. And I feel like she'll probably tell because I don't think she cares. But you are right. You are not the asshole for cutting her out. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/AITA_WIBTA_public. AITA for accidentally missing a group presentation. Hi, I, male 17, go to high school. I'm a junior. Today I had a history presentation due. I had my notes and I've shared them and done my part of the slideshow. But at lunch that day, Mateo, who is not in my history class, and I were sitting together talking, and he was feeling unwell. I went with him when he went to throw up in the bathroom. I told another student to get an adult. He was shaking and throwing up and laying on the dirty floor. I had to physically hold him over the toilet so he could throw up and had to put him on his side lying down so he wouldn't choke. It happened out of nowhere and escalated really fast. When the teacher came, I helped the teacher carry him to the office, as he couldn't do it on his own, and held the plastic bag as he threw up waiting for his parents to arrive. When all that was over, lunch had long finished, and when I went back to class, my presentation group was glaring at me. They had done the presentation without me and using my notes. They were fuming over the fact that I had skipped class and missed the presentation. And I get it, but I couldn't just leave my friend alone when he needed me. Now I'm being hated on in our presentation group chat. They keep accusing me of skipping to leave them alone with the presentation. Now they're just plainly ignoring me, and I kind of get why they would think I skipped on purpose, but I really didn't, and I don't know how to tell them that. AITA? Okay, my initial reaction to this one, just based on the title alone, was yes, you would be the asshole for accidentally missing the group presentation. I was thinking it was a college presentation, and at that point you should be responsible enough to have your calendar in check and not just be forgetting what you had scheduled that day. As soon as we got to the age and knowing they were still in high school, I already gave more grace because you're not a grown-up yet, you're still figuring this stuff out. But then as we get down to Mateo and everything he went through, and you didn't skip class. You missed the presentation because you were literally helping to take care of your sick friend. You did not abandon your sick friend before his parents could get there. And now I'm really proud of you. You did the right thing. I hate that you're getting so much slack from it from your presentation group, but also they had everything they needed. Yes, I'm sure you guys had probably rehearsed and you had your part to say to go along with your slides, but they had everything they needed. They had your slides, they had your notes, they made it through. I'm sure the teacher will give grace given the reason that you missed the presentation, but as long as they made it through fine, I don't see what the big deal is. Yes, you should have been there. The teacher might give you grace. The teacher might dock you points just because you weren't there. She might make everybody do it over again. I don't know. But you are not the asshole. You are right. You absolutely did the right thing. Great moral compass here. You said you don't know. They're hating on you in the group chat, and you don't know how to tell them that. You're 17. You're a junior. You're not going to be in this school for much longer. You're probably not going to be friends with these people after this, or certainly not after high school. So stop caring about what they think. Remove yourself from the group chat. The presentation's over. You no longer have to be there in that group chat. Just take yourself out of the chat and you don't have to deal with it anymore. Sure, they might try to bully you in person in school, but you know you did the right thing. You do not have to explain yourselves to them. If you feel compelled to, before you remove yourself from the group chat, you can just put a message in there saying, I'm sorry I missed the presentation. I was helping a sick friend, and I do not regret my choices. Just be honest. You did the right thing. You have very little to apologize for here. Yes, it's bad that you missed the presentation, but you had a damn good reason. So you're right. It's just kind of a sucky situation, but if the only place that they're really being outwardly aggressive towards you is a group chat, just leave it. Just leave it. As far as them glaring at you in school, if it just looks, you'll survive. They're not daggers. If they do try to bully you beyond that, take it to an adult like you did when your friend needed help. Yeah, that's the best I got. I didn't have to deal with this crap. I didn't go to high school. All right. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/AITH. AITH for asking for a divorce because my husband went to eat with his family. Initial reaction is yes. Yes, because it's one day. But surely there's more. There's got to be a reason that she's asking. Sorry for the writing. English is not my first language. I, 34 female, am considering leaving my husband, 36 male. We've been together for 10 years and have a daughter, 6 female. Our daughter was born before we got married. I come from a home where my father always prioritized his family of origin, his parents and siblings, over his wife and children. And as hard as it is to admit, a part of me feels like I'm repeating that pattern, but even worse. My husband's family has never fully accepted me. They only tolerate me because of our daughter, but they constantly make me feel like I don't belong. They talk behind my back, openly discredit me, and have even told me to my face that I'm not as good as I think I am. That I mess everything up, that I'm just ruining their son's life. When I got pregnant, they demanded a DNA test. When we got married, they urged him to reconsider. During our daughter's first Christmas season, they invited him on a trip and even offered to pay for it. He went without a second thought. I ended up visiting my childhood town. I guess I had different expectations of him. Lately, they've become even more hostile. If we're face to face, they ignore me completely. On my husband's birthday, we went out to eat with them, and when the bill came, they made a point of saying they'd only pay for him and our daughter. And that's fine, I didn't expect anything. But saying it out loud made it clear that I was being deliberately excluded. It's not about the money. It's about the message that I'm not part of the family. And the most painful part, my husband never defends me. His usual response is, "It's not worth arguing with them." That attitude makes me feel invisible, unimportant, unsupported, alone. The final straw happened recently. I had asked him several days in advance to check if his family had plans for Father's Day, so I could plan accordingly with mine. He told me no, that they were only doing something the day before. But right as we were getting ready to go out with my parents, his sister called and said she had made a reservation for him and their dad at a restaurant, like he didn't already have his own family and should consider if we had plans. I was deeply upset. He ended up going to eat with my family for a bit and then left to be with his, without setting any boundaries or explaining our situation as a nuclear family. His excuse was, "You know my family sucks at planning." No, they don't. They plan this. I snapped, not out of jealousy or selfishness, but because of years of built-up disregard. But instead of validating how I felt, he lashed out at me. He criticized me for waking up late. I've been struggling with depression and recovering from a car accident that's left me more exhausted and in pain. And said things like, "Did you take your meds?" The same tactics his family uses to dismiss the harm they cause me. He also said it was his day, which is true, and he could choose to spend it however he wanted. In that moment, I felt more alone and out of place than ever. I realized he's never going to fight to make space for me because he's comfortable like this. No conflict, no accountability. And that hurts more than any rejection from his family. I'm seriously thinking about separating, but I think about our daughter, about the time we've spent, and how, aside from this, he's a great father and husband. AITH? No, OP. You are not the asshole. You are right. And I kind of want to start at the end here, where you said, aside from this, he's a great father and husband. But he's not. This is everything. Because he's literally telling you every day that you don't matter. And if he actually loved you the way that he should as a husband, you would matter. Parents only come first until their child gets married. Then that family that they created by themselves, the child and the wife or the husband, whoever, then their spouse is number one because that's their created family. And then the parents are number two until they have kids. And then parents are number three because this is their family. The parents have to let them go. And in this case, not only has the original family, the family of origin, the parents and the siblings not let go, but he hasn't either. Like you said, you try to say he's a great father. But at the beginning, you said you feel like you're repeating a pattern, but worse, because he always prioritizes his family. And you're right, you are. You fell right into it, which is not your fault. But it is your fault if you stay, and then your daughter thinks this is normal, and then she continues the pattern. If you feel like you're repeating a pattern that you don't want to, isn't your only choice then to leave? To put yourself in a place where you're happier, where you can be a better parent, and to show your daughter what a healthy relationship should look like, because this isn't it. I actually had a friend deal with this recently where where she found out that her boyfriend, what was the situation? Oh yeah, he just it was like a Monday or a Sunday or something like that, told her that the next weekend he was going away with his family and she was not invited. And that's harsh. Like, that's not a way to be. Like, whether you're long-term partners or if you're married, that's your family and they should be excluded unless they're choosing to exclude themselves. You know, say your family was going, or say his family was going on a trip to Disney. You should have been invited. But if you are just someone who doesn't like fun and doesn't like Disney, you can choose to exclude yourself. You can say that, that's really not my scene. I don't enjoy that kind of thing. I'll pass. That's different. Oh, there's so much in this one. Let me see. You already admit that his family never fully accepted you. It also sounds like he never fully accepted you when he asked, "Did you take your meds?" As though you're broken. As though you're already the problem. I mean, we already knew enough when you got pregnant and they demanded a DNA test. When they kept urging him to reconsider the marriage, you already knew then. And it's not even how they behaved, it's that he never fought back because you didn't matter enough for him to fight back against them. Because somewhere in his mind, he agrees with them that maybe he should have reconsidered, that you don't belong. This one bothers me. You said, I guess I had different expectations of him. Were those expectations only in your head? Or did you say, XYZ, this is my expectation, that you will put me first, that you will put our family, me, our child first? Because if you didn't say that, it's not really an expectation, it's just a hope inside your head. And no one can live up to your expectations if they don't know what they are. Not that I think he would have anyway, but just putting that out there. Ooh. Let's see, we're going to skip back over the birthday. It's not worth arguing with them. His usual response is, it's not worth arguing with them. You are not worth arguing with them. You're right. You are alone. You should feel invisible, unimportant, and unsupported because you are. He just said that you're not worth it to him. Plain as day. You didn't want to hear it, but he said it plain as day. Father's Day. And I can see why this is when you broke. Because you asked in advance, and I get it. It's hard when one person's a planner and one person is not. It's hard. But you asked him, point blank, do you have plans with your family? If not, I'll plan something. He said no, so you planned something. And then he didn't have the balls to just stick with the plan. When his sister called last minute and said, "Oh, I made a reservation," he should have said, "I can't make it. We have plans, and I'm going to keep those plans. We can do something another day." That is what a real man would have done. But he's still a child. He is still a child. Letting his family make all the calls on his behalf so he doesn't have to make any decisions or deal with anything. And you're right, he doesn't have to take accountability. He doesn't have to take the blame because he is still living with a child mentality. Oh, I don't know how you put up with it for so long. I don't know how anybody puts up with it for so long, truly. But you are not the asshole. You are right. It has taken far too long. And I truly hope you go forward with the separation that you're thinking about. I think, especially when you said, you've been struggling with depression, not being with him and dealing with that stress will make a world of difference for you. You are right. And also, I just want to add, your English in writing this was fantastic. Story number 4 is coming to us from r/AITA_relationships. AITA for making my boyfriend leave my house for a comment his dad made. I, female 25, was on a houseboat with my boyfriend, male 23, and his family this weekend. And today, my boyfriend, myself, his dad, and his mom were driving in the boat past other houseboats. And my boyfriend's dad says, "Dude, look at a boat full of chicks." Boyfriend's name, "You should definitely go get on that." I looked over to the other boat thinking he was joking, but he was not at all joking. It was a boat full of girls my age, super attractive, with the tiniest of tiny bathing suits. And I was sitting right there. We were all arm's distance from each other. I sat there in shock and humiliation and couldn't say anything. Nor did his mom say anything. We have been together for 2 years. I've never heard his dad talk like that, and I've never had problems with his parents. His dad is also super respectful to his mom, treats her very well. So this is out of left field. Obviously, I'm upset with both parties. My boyfriend just said, "Are you dumb?" and kind of laughed. A few minutes go by and we get off the boat and I probably looked upset. My boyfriend goes, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing." Then he said, "Oh, what, now you're upset? You were fine 20 minutes ago." As if I'm supposed to be fine. Once we got in the car to leave, I let him hear it for not sticking up for me, because he didn't, and then gave him the silent treatment for the 4-hour drive home. AITA for being this upset about that comment his dad made right in front of me, and then making him leave my house when we got home, and for being so disappointed in my boyfriend for not acknowledging me right when it happened. Oh... I think I almost want to call it a mess, but I think you're wrong. I'm going to go with you're wrong on this one, because you punish the boyfriend more for what his dad did than what he didn't do. I mean, you're kind of punishing him for both, but primarily his dad was the offender here. His dad made the stupid comment, and you said that his dad is really respectful to his mom, treats her very well. So maybe that came out of left field for your boyfriend too. Maybe he didn't know how to respond to it. The dad didn't say anything derogatory about you directly. He just said something really dumb. And I can see where it was hurtful. Like, he kind of implied like your boyfriend should go get with somebody else. But he didn't say anything directly to you. And I mean, your boyfriend did say something. He's just like, "You're dumb," and just tried to move on from it. He didn't want to have a confrontation, but he didn't go along with it. I really think he just didn't know how to respond to come out winning on both sides. Like, not making his dad mad. Well, you guys are on a boat together. You don't want anybody pissed off at you. When you're stuck on a little boat together, you can't get away from them. I think this was not an attack on you. I think you took it way too personally. And also, I think you were especially wrong whenever he said, "What's wrong?" and you said nothing, but you were clearly upset. You lied. Something was wrong. In your opinion, something was wrong. And you shouldn't have said nothing. If you didn't want to talk about it right then, which was probably a good call because it sounds like his parents were still there, you just say, "I'll tell you about it later. We'll talk about it in the car." Something to say that now is not the right time, but yes, admitting you're upset. Because then when you say nothing, that's when he got passive aggressive. And I mean, how else was he supposed to respond when you denied something was wrong, but clearly something was wrong? You were clearly upset. So you've bottled this up for the whole time you've been on the boat. You get to the car and you tear him a new one for not sticking up for you. There was nothing to stick up for you about. His dad made a dumb joke. He laughed it off so everybody could move on. You're the only one who didn't move on. You were not attacked. There was nothing for him to stick up for you about. He didn't go along with it, and in this situation, given the circumstances, I think that was enough. But giving him the silent treatment for a 4-hour drive home, after you ripped him a new one, that was not fair. You punished him for somebody else's actions, and for not knowing the appropriate way in your mind to respond to somebody else's actions. You are wrong. You mistreated him. And then going as far as to kick him out of your house when you got back for something he didn't directly do. He just didn't respond the way you thought he should have responded. Yes, you're the asshole. I think you're wrong to be disappointed. I think you're wrong for the way you handled it. How was he supposed to acknowledge you right when it happened? Be like, oh, Dad, don't say that in front of my girlfriend. Then it sounds like he's telling his dad to lie or to hide things from you. I don't think there was a way for him to win in this situation with his response in your eyes. But again, he didn't do anything wrong. His dad was the offender here, but also you were not directly attacked. You chose to take that comment personally, and you took it way too far. You were wrong. All right, that is all for this week's episode of Was I in the Wrong? That is 4 stories and us done for the day. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. Bye.